This is an all-out assault, man,
Yeah.
on everything this country supposedly stands for, the Trump administration.
Right.
They're just degrading our government.
Yeah.
And now they're going after the IRS.
The IRS.
Welcome to the Deep Dive Report Show, folks.
Absolutely. We don't mess around with the surface stuff here.
Nope.
We go straight to the heart of the matter.
That's right.
And today,
Yeah.
that heart is getting ripped right out of the IRS.
Oh, yeah. The resignation of acting IRS Commissioner Melanie Krause.
Right. Krause?
This isn't just like some random employee quitting.
No.
This is a huge warning sign.
For sure.
For every single taxpayer in this country. For you.
You listening right now?
Yeah.
This is the third top official
I know.
to leave the IRS this year alone.
This year.
What does that tell you?
It's incredible.
I mean, come on.
It tells you something.
It's screaming out loud that this administration,
Yeah.
they see the government as their own personal tool
Right, as a weapon.
for revenge
Yeah.
to push their own agenda.
Absolutely. And it's a narrow and hateful agenda.
It is. And right now, the IRS and your private tax information
Oh.
are right in their crosshairs.
So this resignation
Right.
and what we're diving deep into today,
Okay.
it all comes down to this really troubling move by the Treasury Department.
What'd they do?
They made a deal to share your sensitive taxpayer data.
Hold on.
With who? With Homeland Security.
No way.
Yeah. And they're saying, it's chillingly clear what they're saying, that they want to use this data to deport undocumented immigrants faster.
Let me be crystal clear here.
Please.
The IRS has to follow the law,
They do.
especially Section 62103 of the tax code.
Right.
This law is there to protect your financial information.
It is.
We're not talking about going after tax cheats.
No.
This is about using the information you're required to give the government
Yeah, your tax filing.
to target and deport people.
The big question here is,
What is it?
what does this data sharing agreement mean for your privacy
Yeah.
and for the integrity of the IRS as a whole?
You're right to be focusing on Section 62103.
Okay.
That law basically says the IRS can't give out your tax information
Right.
to other government agencies unless there's very specific legal reasons.
Okay.
And what's interesting here
What?
and really concerning
Yeah.
is that this agreement with DHS
DHS?
seems to be way outside of what those exceptions were meant for.
What were they meant for?
They were usually for
Yeah.
legitimate tax stuff,
Okay.
not for immigration enforcement.
Yes. So this brings up some serious legal questions
does.
about whether the administration is overstepping its boundaries
Absolutely.
and maybe even breaking federal law.
Potentially, yeah.
We can't forget about who this is targeting.
Right.
This isn't some theoretical policy debate.
Nope.
We're talking about real people, many of whom are part of our communities.
Yeah.
They work hard
They do.
and they pay taxes.
They do pay taxes.
You got to understand
Yeah.
that a lot of undocumented individuals,
Right.
they file taxes using ITEENS.
ITEENS.
That's a tax processing number from the IRS
Uh-huh.
for people who don't have Social Security numbers.
Right.
So the very agency that's supposed to collect their taxes
I know, it's
is
crazy.
now going to hand over their info for deportation.
It's a scary thought.
The scariest part is
What?
the chilling effect this could have
Oh,
if people, regardless of their immigration status,
Right.
are afraid their tax info will be used against them
Uh-huh.
or their families.
Or their families.
They might not want to file taxes anymore.
They might not.
This administration's anti-immigrant agenda
I know.
could actually end up hurting the IRS's ability to collect revenue
Uh-huh.
and make sure the tax system is fair for everyone.
That's the irony.
This isn't just a one-time thing.
No, it's not.
This data sharing agreement and the chaos it's causing at the IRS,
Yeah.
it's just the latest example
The latest example.
of the Trump administration's attacks on immigrants
Uh-huh.
and their willingness to ignore the law and basic ethics.
Absolutely.
Remember the family separations at the border?
I do.
The Muslim ban?
Yeah.
The attacks on DACA recipients?
Horrible.
It's all connected.
All part of the same disturbing picture.
The fact that current and former IRS officials
Yeah.
are worried about the legality of this agreement
Right.
should scare you.
It should do.
These are career public servants.
Right.
They understand tax law,
They do.
and they know the IRS has to be ethical.
They did.
They're not just complaining about bureaucracy.
No.
They're worried about the rule of law.
And the public trust in the IRS.
Their expertise shows how far from normal this is.
Absolutely.
And right at the center of this,
Uh-huh.
we have Treasury Secretary Besant.
Bassett.
Court filings show he pushed this agreement through.
He did.
It looks like he went around the usual IRS processes.
Yeah, he did.
And ignored the objections from the IRS leadership.
Yeah.
This wasn't about working together to make things better.
Yeah.
This was about forcing his own political agenda.
What matter the consequences?
The timing of all this.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder.
Why now?
Why this policy with all its legal and ethical problems? It's hard not to think that this is a political move.
Maybe to fire up a certain part of their base?
Yeah, but at the cost of basic privacy and due process.
What are they trying to distract you from?
And their excuse?
What's that?
That this is about identifying waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
It's ridiculous.
Since when does being an undocumented immigrant mean you're committing waste, fraud, or abuse?
It doesn't.
This isn't about stopping crime.
No.
It's about targeting people based on their immigration status.
It is.
The administration's saying they're protecting taxpayer privacy while making deals to share that same data. It's like something out of Orwell. This agreement is all about tearing down the protections for your tax info.
I know.
So they can deport people.
Yeah.
You can't say you're protecting privacy.
You can't.
While actively undermining it like this.
They can't have it both ways.
The hypocrisy is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
The same people who yell about government overreach and the deep state are now cheering for this intrusion into people's finances.
All because they hate immigrants?
Their so-called commitment to limited government disappears when they want to punish people they don't like.
It shows their true priorities.
Power, not principles.
Let's go back to the law.
Section 6103.
The people at the IRS who are supposed to uphold this law, they're raising the alarm.
Why?
Because they think this data sharing deal could make them break federal law.
Oh, wow.
They're worried about the legal consequences for themselves and for the IRS.
This isn't just a disagreement about policy.
It's not.
This is a challenge to the whole legal basis of our tax system.
It is.
Imagine how scared this is making immigrant communities. People who are working hard, contributing to our society, and trying to follow the law by paying taxes. They now have to live with the fear that the government could use their tax documents to tear their families apart.
That's terrifying.
This is a deliberate attempt to scare people.
It is.
To marginalize and dehumanize a whole group of people.
For political gain?
This goes against everything this country should stand for.
Absolutely.
And like we said, this isn't an isolated incident.
It fits right in with the Trump administration's playbook.
Which is?
Demonize immigrants.
Right.
Weaponize government agencies. Disregard the law and ethics. And sow division everywhere.
From separating families at the border to the Muslim ban.
The Muslim ban.
And attacking DACA recipients.
Yeah.
This IRS data deal is just another weapon in their arsenal.
Of cruelty and oppression.
And the impact on the IRS is real.
Oh, it is.
It's not just acting Commissioner Krause leaving.
Right.
We're hearing that other top officials are thinking about quitting too.
Really?
Taking buyouts.
Right.
Because they don't want to be part of this.
Wow.
They know it's wrong, possibly illegal.
And morally bankrupt.
The IRS is being undermined from within.
By political interference.
Let's be blunt.
Okay.
Treasury Secretary Bassett is the one enabling this.
He is.
He signed the agreement.
He did.
He ignored the objections. And he's putting the administration's agenda ahead of the law and the integrity of the IRS.
Wow.
His actions are going to have lasting consequences.
I will.
You got to be asking yourself, why this specific action, this data sharing agreement that's so legally questionable, and why now?
Yeah.
Are they trying to distract us from their failures?
Maybe.
Or is this a way to fire up their base?
Possibly.
Or is it something even worse?
Like what?
Are they trying to grab more power and erode the checks and balances in our democracy?
It's a scary thought.
The timing is suspicious.
It is.
We need to investigate this.
Absolutely.
All this talk about breaking down data silos.
Yeah.
It's just a fancy way of saying that they're getting rid of your privacy protections.
Right.
This isn't about modernizing the government. It's about building a surveillance system.
Targeted at vulnerable communities.
And they're forcing the IRS to play a part.
Even if it means breaking the law.
This is not normal.
It's not.
Don't let them make you think it is.
You can't.
So let's be clear.
Good.
What you're seeing here is a government agency that holds the sensitive financial information of every taxpayer
I know.
being forced by political appointees to betray its principles.
Maybe even break the law.
And for what?
What's the reason?
To help the Trump administration's inhumane
Yeah.
and un-American attacks on immigrants.
All under the guise of efficiency.
Dedicated public servants are quitting.
Yeah. Because they can't be a part of this corruption.
This is a betrayal of the public trust you put in your government.
Right.
It's a betrayal of the people who work hard at the IRS to keep our tax system fair and ethical.
Yeah.
It's a betrayal of the millions of people who trust the IRS with their financial data. And it's a betrayal of the idea that the government shouldn't use its power to hurt vulnerable people for political gain.
You need to ask yourself, what happens when your private information is targeted?
What happened?
Just because of who you are.
It's a scary thought.
This smells like corruption.
It does.
It's the smell of authoritarianism infecting our country.
Infecting our republic.
Using the IRS. An agency that affects every American. To deport people.
To deport people.
It's not just morally wrong.
It's wrong.
It's an attack on your privacy.
On your privacy.
On the rule of law.
The rule of law.
You're on our basic decency as a nation. It is.
You can't just stand by and let this happen.
You're right, we can.
Don't let this outrage disappear.
No.
Tell everyone you know about this.
Spread the word.
Demand answers from your elected officials.
Hold them accountable.
Hold Secretary Bessent accountable.
And everyone involved in this scheme.
Stay informed.
Stay engaged.
And use your voice and your vote.
To defend democracy, fairness, and justice.
This isn't about politics.
It's not.
It's about who we are as a nation.
It is.
Stay with us here on the Deep Dive Report Show.
We'll be right back.
We'll be back with the next breaking story.
The next breaking story.
That needs your attention.
Your attention?
And your action.
That's right.